Take that as a no. Okay, let's continue then with the lesson that I have planned for you. Okay, because now we are going to enter one very interesting part that I really want to practice with you, which is some specific uses on an article. We have talked about this in previous classes, but now we are going to be more specific on this usage. Okay, there is something going on, and I think we have seen it. We saw the first lesson many months ago, and I want to know if you remember. Right? How do you translate the following sentence? If I tell you, let's do it like this. How will you translate the following sentence into English, of course? The sentence goes like this, a little bit of inspiration. Okay. What's going on? Here. A las mujeres les gusta cuando los hombres les mandan flores. How would you say that in English? Any ideas? Let's start with Jessie.
Women.
Okay, women.
The women. I am not sure. The women like when the men send flowers.
Interesting. Who agrees with Jessie and who has a different take?
I put in the chat another option, teacher, but I'm not sure. Okay. Women likes where flowers are sent by men.
You use passive voice.
Passive voice, yes.
Interesting. That can be also possible. Women likes where flowers are sent by men. That is actually possible. Passive voice is obviously a good option to use here because you're giving option or you're giving emphasis to flowers, but be careful with the word where, because we are not talking about location, we are talking about time. Okay. And that will be like the biggest problem with it. The rest sounds proper.
Well, okay.
Okay. Be careful also with the S in likes, because if you say one woman likes, but many women like. Okay, this is one of the biggest, like, there will be like the mistakes here, but the rest is very interesting. When Jessie decided to say the women, you decided to use only women. And here is the debate, precisely.
because women it's a plural word, no, naturally. But I'm not
Interesting.
sure if it's properly to use the article
That's a good question.
in this part. It's for this reason that I
Omitted.
omitted. Yes,
Mhm. Same thing happened in men.
yes, yes.
That part is precisely the objective of the lesson. The objective of the lesson is it necessary to use the, yes, no, and why?
Teacher, I remember that when we talk about something in specific, we need to use the article da.
Nice.
So
You are talking in a specific, continue.
I think maybe the sentence is women like it when men send them flowers.
Correct. Nice. So Mitch says, women like it
Like it when men send
when
them
men
flowers.
send them flowers. Adding the it is very interesting. That's very, very nice. And you used the omission of the article that.
Yes.
That's totally correct. You remember we saw that lesson some in the previous level, right?
Yes, and I remember I forgot the word. When we talk about a church, I remember we talk about a church and we talk an specific church.
Correct. We talked about it in church.
Yeah, and I remember that example.
Perfect. Perfect. If you are talking about a specific church, you say the capital cathedral of Mexico City, it's necessary to use that. Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you are talking about church as a regular visit every Sunday, you don't use that. You use, I go to church every Sunday. My grandma goes to church every Sunday. And that's not necessary to use that. Very good. So take a note, girls. Today, we are going to precisely learn how and when to use the article. The correct sentence is precisely when you say women like it when men send them flowers. This topic is called article omission. When we don't need to use the before nouns. And precisely the first lesson that we saw in previous classes was when we are talking about not plural. Carlita said that it was because it was plural. Yes and no. It is used when you are talking about things in general. Okay? So yes, plural, but in general, that's more important than the number. For example, cats are great pets. The reason cats doesn't have the article the is not because it is plural, it's because we are talking about cats in general. Which in Spanish, what would it be?
We use the article.
Say it in Spanish.
Los gatos.
Los gatos. Los gatos son grandes mascotas. In English, only cats.
Only. Okay.
In the case of Jessie, is this the first time you see this topic?
Not really. I remembered I don't know how I saw, I watch it.
Excellent.
For the,
I saw only one.
so I saw
For the TOEFL exam.
Oh, yes.
And I remember with the and the and then and yes, I don't remember well, but I remember it's it changed.
Mhm.
The
Changes.
it changes. Yes.
Correct. Correct. When you are talking about the TOEFL test, one of the most important things that happen in that test is that there are a lot of tricks. Like the
Yes.
exam is designed to make you nervous and to trick you. So one of the things that they implement is probably this person thinks in Spanish. Probably this person is going to use the article. So if the person uses the article, it's 1 point less. Mhm. That's a classic on the exam. Classic. So take a note. Super, super important. The rest is the same. So how do you know you are talking together? If you give me a curious fact, do you know what is a curious fact? Anyone? No?
I don't know, teacher.
No? Curious fact. A curious fact is, for example, when you say, did you know that? Did you know that? I will be a curious fact about. Oh, a curious fact about the cinema, the local cinema library in Mexico City. That was the one that is in Coyoacán. That library had evidence of Tlatelolco's attacks to students, and then mysteriously the library went into fire in the 90s. You know, so that's a curious fact. As you can see, when I was telling you that, I never used the article that. I was talking about recordings of Tlatelolco's attack, never the recordings. You know what I mean? So searching curious facts, we can find, for example, fun facts about Mexico City. 21 fun facts. Let's find one example. I have visited quite a few, but was blissfully unaware of the overall numbers. It was only when I got back home and I researched from my article and discovered there were plenty of museums and galleries in the capital of Mexico City. In fact, this report by Statista puts the number at a whopping 1,086 museums or museum-like establishments. No, we don't have an example here. Coined the name for Mexico City in 18th century. And I would not. Oh, look at this. Mexico City was once called the City of Palaces. How would you say this in Spanish?
¿Alguna vez la Ciudad de México? ¿Alguna vez la Ciudad de México fue llamada la Ciudad de los Palacios?
La Ciudad de los Palacios. The one that we are going to focus on is here. De los Palacios. The word los disappears. When you are talking about the name of the city, well, that's normal, no? We never say the Mexico City, no? But at least this one is definitely one possible mistake that we can commit. Right? The word lost disappeared. Another one. Let's talk about were built by the Spaniards who became the new noble of the New Spain. They accumulated tons of wealth in Central America and built extravagant homes and massive churches in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Many of these still stand today, justifying the city's nickname of the Palace City. Mexico City is home to architecture. In this case, in Spanish, it's the same. If you head to the historic center of Mexico City, in this case, you see, because it's specific, you will notice architectural masterpieces of three different kinds representing three different stages of Mexico City's history. There is ancient Aztec architecture in the form of Templo Mayor ruins. Ancient Aztec architecture. This is another example. In Spanish would be, está la arquitectura antigua azteca. La arquitectura antigua azteca. Which is in English, we are going to omit the article. There is ancient Aztec architecture in the form of Templo Mayor ruins. Because again, we are talking about architecture in general. Does it make sense?
Yes, teacher.
Right? Very nice. This is rule number 1. In a moment, we go to rule number 2. But let's give a moment to Jessie, because Jessie is in the chat. Hello, Jess.
Hello, Mr. Hello,
Hi.
yes. Good night. So, with the attendance, please, is here Jessie. Hi, Jessie. Good night.
Hi, good night.
Thank you. Elsie. Hi, Elsie. Good night.
Good night, Jessie.
Thank you. Denise. Hi, Denise. Good night.
Good night, Jessie.
Thank you. And Nish. Hi, Nish. Good night.
Hello, Jessie. Good night.
Hello. So, thank you to be here and see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
To me, lady.
See you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Now, the reason over here, where we were talking about this paragraph, for example. Palacio de Bellas Artes is one of the prettiest art galleries I have ever seen. National Museum of Anthropology has the best repository of Mexico's pre-Hispanic history. When we are talking about specific locations with specific names, we are never going to use the article the. This goes directly associated to the rule of names, which I cannot find. Oh yeah, over here. Rule number 2. Articles are not used before countries, single lakes, cities, towns, continents, single lakes or single mountains, and official names I would add over here. Official names of important locations, such as the one that we saw in the website. So, who can tell me, girls, why it's necessary to use the when you are talking about the Alps mountain range? Why is it necessary to use the in this case? Any ideas?
Because are plural, teacher.
Perfect. Are plural what?
The mountain, yes, the mountain.
Close. The mountain's name.
Okay.
Okay. If you're
Mhm.
talking about the name and it's plural,
Okay.
you need to use that. Okay. Which is precisely one of the biggest issues when we say United States. In Spanish, we don't say los Estados Unidos. We only say Estados Unidos, and that's it. In English, it's necessary to use that because you are talking about a plural location, contrary to a single location. For example, Lake Ontario over here. Lake Ontario is a single lake. But when it becomes plural, in number 5, you need the article. Right? So plural locations need that. Single locations don't need that. Over here, we're going to have the other example. This is a single location. This is a single location. And that's it. Are we refreshing the memory? Do we remember this lesson?
Teacher, in the example number 6, empty Fuji,
That's Mount Fuji.
Mount Fuji. Okay, it's for the reason in this. Is the necessary the article for the highest mountain
Okay.
because it is not plural, but empty Fuji is the name of the mountain. In this case, it's necessary the article.
Well, watch out. The second or the application of the article in this case, it has no relation to rule number 2. The article is here because we are talking about a superlative,
Okay.
which is every time you talk about the top number 1 or the first in the list, we are going to use that. The highest mountain, the biggest scenario, the most, the least, sorry. Right?
Okay.
The fact of the superlative is a very different thing.
No. Okay. So only well, in this rule,
Mhm.
specifically, it's when we need to say a names of a
Exactly.
specific country, or if it's plural, it's the other.
Exactly.
Okay.
In this case,
Okay.
we were talking about names.
Names. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, teacher.
Names, or be careful. It's not about talking in plural. It's about talking in
In general.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Why I am being very emphatic with this? Because you can use plural with the. You can say, for example, do you remember the mountains where we went? The mountains where we went. That's plural, but it's using that. The reason I'm using that is because I'm being specific. Which
Okay.
mountain are we talking about?
Okay.
See? So the main rule, the way to remember here is general versus specific and names.
Okay.
That's the one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more rules to see, 5 more rules to see. And we are going to cover that for tomorrow. Okay? In this moment, you can leave, girls. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you,
very good
teacher.
night.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
my
you.
people. See you later.